Literally, you must not understand. But he is there and he is going to tell you about why you studying video is coming in.
And I'll take a proceed or the camera of the camera. Look, the reason for this is a lot of students are going on holiday now, and especially for the matriculants, it's important to prepare now and not later in the year. I mean, June exams is now. Immediately after June, the matriculants are going to face final exams. So it's best to prep now.
But thinking about it, June is like this,
it's around the corner, 3 months from now. And I mean, come on, there's tests that happens in between now and actually then. So preparation is always important. And you know, a lot of us tend to want to prepare a week before the time, and then we wonder why we're failing or why we're not getting good marks. Because you're all stressed and exactly, you want to put the whole year's work into one day or 1 week, and you want to put that in your head. Come on, it doesn't work like that. And it's never going to work. Look, I mean, some guys are intelligent enough to do that. Some guys go to write actually without studying. Well, that also depends again. If you're looking as an individual, and we'll discuss that. But I mean, if you wanna just make it, it's your choice. But if you wanna get into, you know, the competition is tight these days, and I know there's a lot of guys that's doing exceptionally well in the final year. And if you want to get into a varsity and you want to be part of the the listed ones, you got to do extremely well. I mean, either A's, B's, nothing less than C's. And if you want to get bursaries, it's important to get good marks.
Of course.
So preparation to that is always important, and you always focus on that, preparing yourself for whatever you need, physically, emotionally, all those things. So yeah, so we'll do some of those and cover some of the bad habits, which is one of those, exactly what we were talking about, which is preparing just before, I mean a week before exam comes. Come on, if you're writing how many subjects, 7 subjects, and you want to prepare a week before the time, it's never going to work. You're going to kill yourself.
There is this individual like guidelines which are when it comes to studying. Can you elaborate maybe on the few that we have? Taking learning notes?
Yeah, no, the 5 top bad habits that we have, the top one is taking linear notes, the highlighting the book, you know, a lot of us, we have a highlighter sort of like that, highlight. And when we highlight, you actually want to when you study, you want to take all the highlighted material and put that in your brain and cram that, which is not actually right. But we'll discuss why we're highlighting. Rewriting notes, reading the chapter, and you want to read the entire chapter? Come on. Establish a study zone at home. So these are 5 of the top bad habits, but we'll discuss why we're saying what it is, why take linear notes, and actually the solution as to how you should be doing it.
Of course.
And just instead of just saying, okay, are you taking notes? And how should I actually apply that in a manner that will be beneficial?
Absolutely.
And where I will actually succeed in studying and improving my marks. You understand? So studying tips is not just for the guys who's already up there, but it's for those who want to improve their marks.
Of course.
The idea is not to just make it. Come on. Do exceptionally well.
Of course.
Exceedingly. Abundantly.
Of course, it needs to be different.
So yeah.
Have you ever wondered how you can actually bomb this after studying for hours? But this result, after many hours of faithful studying, is a real confidence buster. If this happens to you, it's possible that you currently, or that your current study habits are failing you, but you can turn it around. The process of learning, it's still a little mysterious, but studies do show that the most effective process for studying involves highly effective behavior over a period of time. In other words, to study effectively, you must read, draw, compare, memorize, and then test yourself over time. How many of us actually do this when it comes to studying? How many of us actually follow the accurate way when it comes to studying? Or suddenly that's a study you leer to memorize it class. You don't even test yourself.
Look, we've been taught, I mean, I know for a fact when I was in school and in varsity, I did the monkey way. It worked, just the repetition. But repetition works for a little bit.
But then, the thing with repetition is, you don't understand.
Yes,
So
that's the
if someone
problem.
asks you the same question from a different angle, then you just don't know why you see this is none of the places because you don't actually understand what you're reading. So sometimes when you understand, you don't need to repeat because you understand that what you
Yes.
and you understand what you do, and you
That is
understand the
true.
question. And if I understand the question, you can actually answer the question to
That
the
is
best of
true.
your ability.
Having said that, let's go to taking linear notes. Then you will understand why it is important to do certain things and not just, like you say, do the monkey way repetition. Linear notes are lecture notes that students take when they attempt to write down every single word of a lecture. Linear notes occur when a student tries to write every lecture says in sequence, like writing a rambling essay with no paragraph.
Right.
So you're not jotting down key things the lecturer is
But
saying.
you have a headline
Yes,
and then
you
you
want.
have to the headline.
You want to hang on every word the lecturer says. So you're thinking everything he says is important. And how many times I've been in school where whatever the teachers has spoken about didn't even come into the test. It wasn't even there.
Of course.
So sometimes it's pointless just writing down everything, but write down definitions, important things. But we'll get there. The solution to this, to taking linear notes, would obviously be to reinforce the information and to make it sink in. You must also recreate all your class notes in another form.
Right.
So you have to revisit the information and put it all into a chart or a shrinking outline. Right before every new lecture, you should review your notes for the day's past and predict the next day's material. So you got to think about what's going to come up next. After having been through all the lectures, you're thinking, okay, fine, I've got this note, so I suspect next that is what's going to happen.
Let me ask you two questions. You go to school every day, you try a certain list to get a certain subject when you college for varsity, and you don't go through those notes when you get home. Like we have 3 different subject sequences that we follow for the month, for 3 months example, right? So you can after notas, maar je leest ook die notas. Je leest dat je 3 maanden notas, plus je steeds a week before you. How important is it to then go through all the notes that you get every day, whether you're writing or not writing, whether it's exams or not?
Let me ask you something. Let me just go on this, ask you something. If you take, what's the chance of you remembering all those in 3 months notes a week before the time versus when you go after every day's lecture? It's not a matter of you must study the entire notes, but just read through it. When I went to varsity, and I was in varsity, sorry guys, for a week. I was doing my BA art and I left for the one reason. So I made sure when they do the induction, they tell you before every lecture, prepare for the lecture, because the lecturer will tell you what he's going to, some lecturers tell you what he's going to do next. So I prepared, but the problem was the lecturer actually read out of the book, which I didn't want. Because what's the point of preparing? If you're going to be listening to exactly what's already there, then I can do correspondence. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is you prepare and you take what the lecturer has done and you put that together. The chances of you remembering after you've prepared is higher than when you haven't prepared, because you haven't understand. You understand because you prepared. You have understanding while the lecturer is speaking. That is when you prepared, you might have not understood certain things. So when the lecturer speaks about it, that is what it means, and this and this and that. But now if you do, and let's say you do a week, let's say you've gone through the week or a month, and you go through the lectures for that month. The highlighted notes, the important stuff, right? When you get to exam time, you don't have to cram it all in. You do cramming, but you don't have to do it.
Some of sort of cramming, I'm not going to lie about it.
So yeah, I think short, like you eat a pie, small bite.
First sister, 4 weeks, and you do your second sister the following week. within a month you've covered 4 chapters.
Exactly.
And a German study, because you read through them, you understand you were not absent, they later, and you paid attention, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you. A whole lot easier.
Okay, we're doing bad habits, but one of the most important things when sitting in a lecture is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know you get between 70 and 80% of what you listen to in a class is what you get in an exam.
Sure.
And if you listen well and you remember, you know what, when you scan through your notes, it's going to be
and
easy.
you look at, okay, this is his facial impression when he
said this.
So after consider you can remember because he did this or made a certain sound, kind of turn low, so you won't definitely not forget it. And in 2 minutes after 10 is if you just tuned in Mr. Korea in the bottom and we wrote it answer with more information. Study stuff. It's a few download over to you to the next. Again, it is Mr. Korea, aka actually rational. En ik gebouw opmaken plan en ik maak een lieflijke plan vandaag. It's all about study tips today. Yeah, and we all get freaked out because it's final exams and it's always samen and you really don't feel like studying and you feel like it's too much because you've all the cram and you feel really hard in studying. You just want to die at that time of the year. He is here to advise, to give guidance, to give you guidance as to how you can do it the right way. Hoe je kan studeren zonder aan stress en zonder drama and asking answers and with you actually making it through the exam. It's sort of crucial because some youngsters feel I can't. So taking my own life would be an option because I can't even deal with. You don't need to do
But
the pressure if you do it the right way. This is why I love the guest right in front of me here to uncomplicate your life. Om het makkelijker te maken voor jou. Before the break, we're dealing with linear notes, the importance or the good perhaps there is. Moving around to the next one.
Highlighting the book. How many of us have highlighted, you know? I remember doing that a lot. Highlighting, but I don't actually go through the notes. Now, this is why highlighting is bad things that you can do, but I'll give you the solution. We are all guilty of a highlighter abuse. Reckless highlighting is the root cause for many bad test grades.
Wow.
Bright colors on a page make a big visual impact. So it seems like a lot of good studying is going on when you read and highlight. But is it true? Highlighting does make important information stand out on a page, but that doesn't do you much good if you don't do something active with that information.
Wow.
Reading highlighted words again and again is not active enough. How many times do we do that?
Oh.
And what is the solution to that? Use the information that you highlight to create a practice exam. Put highlighted words onto flashcards and practice until you know every term and concept. Identify key concepts and use them to create practice essays and questions. You should also develop a color coding highlighting strategy. Highlight new words in one color and new concepts in another. For example, you could also highlight separate topics according to a color code. Color code for more impact. So don't just read or highlight and read and then think. Put it on, like they say here, the solution. Put it on a flashcard, take the highlighted notes, and you know what? What we don't do is we don't like writing our own sentences out of definitions or keywords. We should, because if you put it in our own words, sometimes in mind, like you're doing with repetition, we read the exact same thing. Whereas, put it in words we understand. And then we can take it from there, and it's easy to remember.
Definitely.
It's simple.
If you have a question with regards to studying, is there something in particular that you're struggling with, 011, 945, 575, since you must have today easier, your disposal on your sister here. Look to call right there, do try again on 011, 945, 575. Any questions that you need to pose, in particular to Mr. Korea, in regards to the topics that we have? Again, he's here in Studio, and he's definitely going to answer all the questions. So, through to Marco Plan, good morning. Alright, Minister. Na leven sal ek so maak. Ja, ja. Mhm. Ek sal so maak. Okay. Ek maak so. Bye. Big shout out to everyone who's listening, who's tuning all the way from Medium A, Stanford to Johannesburg Correctional Services, Medium B, and then of course Medium C as well. That's the stand where we're tuning it all the way from Medium C, Taberi, Johannesburg, Correctiva, as Anfascato all the way from Stanford. So we should, or rather back into what we were discussing.
Next one, rewriting notes.
Mm-hmm.
Students rewrite notes under the assumption that repetition is good for memorization.
Wow.
We were talking about it. Nope.
Okay.
Repetition is valuable as a first step, but it is not very effective all alone.
Wow.
You should rewrite your notes in the shrinking outline method, but follow up with self-testing methods.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll put it out in outlines, and then you know what, you do the self-testing.
Right.
Ask yourself questions. Because we just read, we don't ask, so what does that mean actually?
Yeah.
And how do I apply it?
So,
So,
absolutely.
stuff like that. So the solution to that is switch class notes with a classmate and create a practice exam
Mm-hmm.
from his or her notes. Exchange practice exams to test each other. Repeat this process a few times until you are comfortable with the material. I actually did that in high school, but I got lazy. I got tired eventually, so I got into sport.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got into sport, and sport became more important, and got lazy and didn't want to study. You know, so look, I was I'm an A-type personality. So for me, I could pick up a book, I mean, and I can study 200-page book in 1 week.
I hate to study, by the
Yeah.
way.
Look.
I think that's so good.
But it's important to study, eh? It's important to study.
I know.
And there's different studying styles for each individual. Each person, this is guidelines. You don't have to take the guidelines and do it to the letter, because it might not all work for you, some might work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is so you can get the basics, so you can just see, okay, fine, this works for me, that doesn't work for me.
Of course.
It's like eating meat. I mean, you know, you don't eat all meat, or you don't like all meat, some people. And if you're a baby, you can't feed a baby meat. You gotta feed them milk.
Yeah.
So if you're at the starting
You don't do
stages,
solids.
yeah, you know, so you gotta, if you're at the milking stage, you gotta do the milk. So that's what we're trying to do this year.
Good question when it comes to bad habits. I know a lot of people that I know that I talk to. I'll ask you till 12 o'clock, after 11, tonight I need to study now. I'm going to be studying until like 3 a.m. the next morning. The body is created to be sleeping at that time. You're studying, so you just so that if you're out there, is it good or is it bad?
Look, again, it all depends on the individual. If it works for the person, it works for the person. Because I'm one of those.
You can actually start studying from 12 to 3 a.m.
I can start studying. I can study right through the night. Why? And it works for me. Why? Because it's quiet. I'm not getting interrupted. During a normal day, I get interrupted 100 times. And if I want to sit down and study, this happens, that happens. So some people, it works for them. If it works for you, then it works for you.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? But if it doesn't, there's other people who can't study at that time. They want to sleep. They're used to sleeping a certain time. There's certain patterns. So you got to do what works for you. I won't say it's right. I won't say it's wrong.
But it works
if it works for you, you got to have the study style that works for you, and have a space in your house, which you in your home, a quiet space. Or if you like music, soft music, it works for you, then you do it.
Thank you. Christine, while you're studying, let's get into all the
like I said, if it works for you, it works for you. You know what? Some people can drink coffee right through a study session. I can't.
Too much caffeine.
It's bad. Too much, yeah, it's bad.
So you're sitting there between 12 and 3, you're supposed to be sleeping, you're downing like 3 cups of coffee.
That means you didn't get right. That means you didn't get enough rest. And rest is important
So
in order
after
to
all
study.
this, you sleep and you sleep and you wake up and then you can't remember a thing of what you were studying for those 6 hours.
That's because you was
In the process.
that, yeah, exactly. That's because one, you didn't put out a plan. Two, you didn't take breaks when you were studying.
So,
And the important thing is to take breaks because you can't. I mean, if you're tired, if you're putting caffeine in your system, you are tired. I would understand if you have rested during the day or you've at least had some amount of sleep
Sure.
and you were studying at that time, then your body would not be tired and you would remember. But if you were, I mean, you were working the whole day and you just jumping into studying, chances are that you're not gonna be remembering much.
Sure.
You're gonna be way tired, and if you want to cram or you want to put all the information in 6 hours right through non-stop, you are killing yourself. You are straining yourself big time. Take the 40 minutes principle or 45 minutes tops. Take 15-minute breaks. It will do wonders.
Minutes before 11, it is a few minutes left in the studio with Mr. Career, Parmalita, for ons klaarmaak. Two last ones that you need to get into. One would be rereading your chapters and then establishing a study zone at home. How important is those two?
Look, very important. Rereading the chapter. Students are often encouraged to reread a chapter on the night before an exam to reinforce what they've learned. Rereading is a good tactic as a last step.
Wow.
Not first, last. I mean, come on, rereading a chapter the night before. It's going to confuse you more because they've done a study and one of the studies shown that if you should actually stop studying 12 hours before you write an exam, because sometimes you want to push, you want to force into more information, and what happens is sometimes people black out and sometimes they forget.
Absolutely.
Because you wanted to cram in that little bit of information in the last 12 hours. So you should just take a break, relax, enjoy.
And I think that's where the fear, the anxiousness comes in when it comes to studying.
Exactly that.
Because so buyer and making it a weird. And you literally want to just go and just disappear off the face of the earth. Going into the last one, establishing a study zone at home. De mensen is bezig om 7 land, de mensen is bezig om lief te kijken, dat is al die soapies. You need to be in a room and quiet, away from everyone, and you need to be studying.
Look, like
how do you create that sort of environment for yourself at home?
Where there's noise, you got to find a quiet place. Or, you know what, some people actually they can study in a noisy environment. You put it. No, it doesn't. Some of them put headphones on, listen to music while they're studying, and they're in a different world. It all depends once again on the individual. But you got to create a space, and this is not okay. This is what we do a lot of the time. Most of our people don't have a desk and a chair where you can sit up and study. We want to sit on the bed or lay on the bed under the blanket, and we want to study. It's bad. It's totally bad. What's the chances of you gonna fall asleep? You're gonna 100%.
Like 100%.
Yeah, you're gonna fall asleep.
After the first hour.
Exactly. Because you're gonna want to take a 15-minute break while you sleep and then sleep for 3 hours,
like
4 hours.
While you're studying,
exactly.
Really not gonna work.
A desk to have a desk. Sit up. You gotta sit up because you will stay awake.
Posture.
Yes, appropriate posture. Have your book, your pen for making notes. Do that, because sometimes you just want to sit, we read. Sometimes you if you're doing the repetition, by the end of what you've done it, you study a chapter, you don't understand anything you did.
Oh my
because why? You didn't make notes.
So,
you were wanting to put in all the information. You can't read a chapter and then expect at the end, or study a chapter write through, not making notes or not highlighting definitions and
Absolutely.
expect you must remember at the end. No, it doesn't work that way. It's important to do what you did. There's a lot of tips with regards to memorizing here. You memorize definitions, key words, key lines, key sentences. I mean, if I'm going to do a hardware computer, I must define what the CPU of a computer is. And I'm reading the definition of something else, or just reading the CPU. That's not going to make sense. And you can't rush through it. You got to make sure you understand. We've done it. You got to make sure you understand. Don't just read for the sake of I want to put the information in my head because if the question comes up,
you need to understand what you're doing. If you understand, then you know.
You won't know.
A cook, je moet je eier aangooien en dan to the bottom and then a cook.
You're describing chunking.
No, that's basically how it makes sense for me. You need to know what to do first, and you need to know what the end result is going to be. So you need to understand the ingredients, the contents of what you're busy reading, at least so it makes sense to you.
That is true. Very true. Look, chunking, just speaking about that quickly, chunking is a concept that first emerged in the 1950s when a Harvard psychologist named George Miller published a study on short-term memory. It was called the magical number 7 plus or minus 2.
Wow.
Right? The idea here is if Miller suggested that humans can successfully retain 5 to 9 items in short-term memory banks. To illustrate this, you can try memorizing the following, the grocery list. You've got 9 items on the grocery list. You've got eggs, flour, milk, bacon, baking powder, butter, syrup, cereal, blueberries. Now, what's the chances of you memorizing all that? No, quick, short of. Right? There are 9 items in the list. So many people will have difficulty remembering all of them. However, when you find a way to chunk those items into categories, we can find it much easier to remember.
Wow.
And this is how we're going to do it.
Wow.
You put the eggs in the bacon for day 1. Right? You put the pancakes for day 2, requiring flour, baking flour, and milk.
Okay.
So we also need the syrup. So now it's day 2.
Sure.
Now you're going to and we need the syrup and the butter. Now you're going to day 3. Cereal for day 3, cereal, milk, blueberries. Is that easier to remember? So you categorize it 3 days, 3 items each, and the milk you can repeat the same one, but it's still part of the same category. So it's done. How do you remember? Easy. Break it down into smaller pieces. Memory is very simple.
Sure.
To remember things, you got to break it down.
Absolutely.
And into things you understand. And it's got to be, you got to work out the learning style that works for you. Because what works for me might not necessarily work for you.
For the next person.
You understand?
What works for the next person might not work for me.
Yes. And I'm just going to give you 10 basically, great study habits that you should have to improve your performance.
Right, let's get into them.
Write down every assignment. Right? Remember to bring your homework to school or to lecture or to varsity.
Right.
Right? Communicate with your teacher. A lot of us don't, or your lecturer. A lot of us don't have a relationship with our lecturer or teachers. We just go to school, go to varsity, go home. You should build a relationship. It's important. Organize with color. We did the and also the cards.
Sure.
Right? Establish a study zone at home. That's it. Prepare yourself for test days. We don't prepare for test days. We prepare for exams, but not really for tests.
Okay.
Right? Know your dominant learning style. You got to know what works for you.
Yeah. So why would you want to study at night?
Exactly. Take fabulous notes. Just not normal notes. It must be great material that you have to study. Because it's pointless taking, you remember the last part of what the lecturer said and not the key words that's going to be part of what you're going to be tested on.
And most of the time it's just points to the keywords.
Exactly. Conquer procrastination. That will only be conquered by managing your time properly. So you got to do part. Never mind it. What about studying and texting and social media while you study?
How many people put this on?
They do. They don't.
Some say you should be in surgical D&D studying.
Phone off. That's true. And number 10, take care of yourself.
Eat properly.
Eat
That
properly.
is master plan. You won't rest if you're going to wear yourself out. If you don't eat properly.
And
Make sure you
exercise.
drink the right things. Make sure you do the right exercises.
Yes.
You're not going to make it by just living and kissing.
And that part of taking care of yourself, why people stress or don't manage the stress, we will do a show where we're going to be doing stress management.
Mhm.
So the key things of that is exercising well, eating well, and also taking that break and time to switch off.
Beautiful. Where can you get more of these lovely tips and notes that you shared with us?
You know, I can get it on my, I will post it. I will post it up, and this will definitely go onto the website.
Mm.
And we're trying to do some clips on the site as well, so you can have some of the information via, for those who don't like to read, like some of us. So we're gonna have that posted as well.
So if you wanted to do this, Mr. Kiria,
Look,
Erasmus, following me to Mr. Kiria is
Facebook page.
website, www.mrkiria, where I need to see myself, the steps that I need to follow in order for me to do what I need to do. So it's been, this is how we do it, and Mr. Kiria. Comes
Awesome.
every Wednesday, and Career Wednesday, so Nakaplan with Mr. Kiria, and I, ons Nakaplan vir jou. Ons masterplan vir jou, so jy moet dit vir ons help, om vir jou ook 'n plan te maak. Mr. Kiria, it's been great to do it again next week.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming in. If you need to get out of me, 0011 945 5275. I have one of my suggestions, biggest fans tuned in to the show right now at the moment. You can catch him every Saturday between the hours of 6 and 9. So it's called Saturday Night Live. He goes by the name of Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam, this is just me, welcome you.